Do you have cutting dies in your stash that you simply avoid using because they just don't cut perfectly at all? No matter how many times you run them through your die cutting machine, whatever the brand of die, you just don't get great results. So you kind of tend to not use them, put them aside and then forget about them. So let's get your intricate dies out and get cutting with them. I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks for getting the most out of these dies, for getting a perfect cut every time, and the science behind why you find these dies so difficult to cut through nicely. So first things first, why are we having problems with intricate dies? Now, dies are made up, of course, of metal, and on one side you have these cutting edges. These are essentially fine blades of metal that will pierce through paper with extreme pressure. When they are close together, you don't get quite as much give in the paper. That's one reason why when you've got something intricate like this and all the details close together, you don't quite get as good a cut as you would with something with larger gaps between. But also, if you think about the manufacturing process, they need to actually get every single one of these cutting blades at exactly the same height as each other. If there's a tiny piece of any one of these cutting edges or cutting blades a fraction of a millimetre taller than anywhere else, that's going to cause a ridge or a hump in your die cutting plate or sandwich and not allow even pressure across the whole die. Now this can happen with absolutely any brand of die. I'm not going to be telling you which brands I'm using today because this really does go for any of them and it can happen with all. So I'm going to be using the Big Shot machine, but again, the tips and techniques can be used with whichever manual or sometimes electric machine you might be using. So first things first, my tip for cutting intricate dies has always been to try putting this through your die cutting machine with as little pressure on the die at any one time as possible. Now, the way I usually explain this is to think about a car going over a speed bump. Okay, now if you've got a bump in the road and your car is coming at it in this direction, the two front wheels have got to go over the entire bump to get past it. Okay, and you get a bit of a jump there as well, and there's not even pressure going throughout the car tires as it goes over. It's really got to get a good run up as well to get over. Okay, so it's quite hard. Now, if the speed bump was this way, imagine how much easier that would be to go over that, even if it's just one wheel going over. Okay, it's less of a bump at any one time. It's really just a slight raise up. And that's kind of what we're getting. We are also going to then be getting all the pressure on our plate on just a small part of the die at a time as it passes through the rollers. Okay, so rather than all the pressure being spread across the die, you're actually getting it concentrated on the die as it goes through, just a little bit at a time. This is going to help increase the cutting power of your die cutting machine. So let me demonstrate this with just a piece of cardstock. Now this cardstock is around about 250 GSM, which is an ideal weight for die cutting. And I'm going to do a couple of things here. Firstly, I'm going to be placing my die downwards on my plate, and I'm going to be placing it in so it's parallel with the rollers that are inside the machine here. Okay, this is how a lot of people would usually die cut. So let's run this through and see how it goes. Now we'll just run it through the once for now. Let's take a look. Now, as you can see, what's happened here is we've got a cut line all around the edge, or pretty much all around the edge, nothing in the middle. Now I'm going to do two things in one here to improve this cut, and I'm going to carry on using the same piece of cardstock just to show you that I'm not switching to a lighter weight cardstock or anything like this. So I'm going to place my die and paper, still in the same place, in the machine, but I'm going to put it this way instead. So it's going to not be going parallel with the rollers anymore. I'm actually going to be doing it, as I said, so that the rollers can give maximum pressure to the die just over little bits at a time as it goes over. And I'm also, as you see here, turning the paper. So the paper's on top, or the cardstock is on top of the die rather than the other way around. So last time we were die on top of paper. This time we are paper on top of die. Now, this is kind of my own theory, and the best way I explain it is if you imagine you have your two rollers in here. You've got pressure coming from down or above, down from above, and you've got pressure coming up from below and squeezing those plates together. Now, in my mind, if you've got this way, to cut, to press that paper into that die, the pressure has to work through all of these plates, and you know, that's a pretty thick plate before it gets to the paper and the die. If I do it this way, the pressure from the top roller has only got to get through this before it actually presses onto the paper and into the die. So in my mind, that's going to add a lot more pressure onto my die and my cardstock to help it cut through, along with turning it over so that can actually happen. You're also then feeding it through and allowing that added pressure to be concentrated on a smaller area. So now let's feed this through our die cutting machine. I'm going to go slowly as well to allow the pressure to sit on parts of the die as it runs through, and we'll see when it comes out how that has cut. Now, usually I would suggest if your paper and your die is tacked down and you know it's an intricate die, do come backwards as well. But whatever you do, don't take this out and try to reposition it and then put it back through. You want to do it while the plates are still gripping it, ideally. Now I'm going to do this the once to see what sort of difference just changing the direction we put this in has made. And immediately we can see the difference. Look at that. Now let me just take the die away. Can you see this? Everything has cut through. So if I pop all these middle pieces, and usually we find the middle is the worst part for cutting through, everything has cut through beautifully. And that's just 2 simple tips that you can be doing at home every time you die cut. Now, sometimes, regardless of the precautions you take when you're cutting, you will still get what we call ghosting, where you'll have a few areas that just won't quite cut, usually within the same place. And I always think this is probably due to what I was explaining right at the beginning about having a slightly raised area within your cutting blades. So I can see that it's minute, but just here I've got a little bit that hasn't quite cut through. The reason we call it ghosting is because you don't see the lines. So all the grey lines that are there and clear to see, they've cut through. When they're not so clear, that's when you've got that ghosting and it hasn't cut through. If you take this out of that die, try poking it with your pokey tool, for example, you're just going to tear your cardstock. You need to get that cut through. So what I tend to do is pop this back into my machine, and the most common way of dealing with something like this when you've just got a small area that won't cut is by putting a shim in. Now, if we put a shim in, and particularly over or under the part that's not cutting. So for example, with this one, I'm actually going to place it underneath the area here that's not quite cut through. So just a piece of cardstock, it's around about 200 GSM. So just laying that underneath, place that down and run this through again, exactly as I did before. And now I can see that this has all cut through the center there perfectly, as has the rest of the die. So that's really the most common way of overcoming one small area within your intricate die that just won't go through. Now, when we do have issues with intricate dies, it's very easy to blame the die or even blame the machine or the cutting platform that you're using. But it's well worth looking at the cardstock as well. Now on the surface it looks as if this cardstock has cut through, but when I turn it over I can see I've got that ghosting. If I hold it to the light there, you can see this patch here that's still shiny, hasn't got any detail in it. This has not cut through despite me using it in the ways that I've already explained before. And this is down to my cardstock choice, nothing to do with the die being intricate. So the cardstock I'm using here is a smooth, really good weight of cardstock, but it's no heavier weight than this one. And I'm going to show you why this one would cut better than this one. Now, as you can see, that is a smooth, shiny cardstock. And the reason this is smooth is because the fibres in the paper are compacted really tightly together whilst the papers or cardstock is being manufactured. Because they are compacted so tightly together, really squeezed together, that makes it much, much tougher to get through this with a cutting die. Now, if you imagine trying to tear something that's been compacted really tightly, or try and tear something, say like cotton wool, that's actually nice and fibrous and got loose fibres in it, you know which one's going to be easier. So this cardstock is the same weight, as I say, but you can probably just about see there a little bit, it's got a texture to it. This is a texture cardstock that we commonly find with sort of got a woven texture to it, a linen texture. Some of them they call orange peel textures. Because of this texture, the fibres in the cardstock are not compacted as closely together or as tightly together, and you could quite easily tear this. Sometimes when you tear this, you may actually find you can see a few fibres on the edge, so you do need really good sharp cutting tools like your trimmer and your scissors, for example, to get a nice sharp edge, but it makes this perfect for die cutting. So let's put this same die through in the same way as we've already explained. So let's remove little pieces out of our plate. It doesn't matter which way up we cut this cardstock, although it's smooth on one side, it's actually textured on the other side. I tend to cut into the textured side because I really like the look of that on my die cuts, but it's up to you. Overall, the cardstock will not be as compacted. So we're going to run that through just the once again, just to see the difference. Now I can see already without removing my die, and I'm sure you can see that as well, all the detail is there. Let's take this, and a tip for you, if you don't have time to be cleaning all the little pieces out right now and you want to put your dies aside to clean out later, if you bend your cardstock back as you pull it out of the die, you'll actually leave more of the little pieces in the die than in your cardstock. Okay, so you put that aside, clean it out later, or like me, put it back in the pack and forget about it until the next time you want to use it. There's a few little pieces in here, but I can see that has cut absolutely beautifully, and none of that ghosting that we were talking about. So the fibrous paper, the textured paper, does cut better, and it's not to do with the weight of the paper either. So hopefully this has given you some tips for using your intricate dies, getting the most out of them. So if you've got any in your craft stash at the moment that you're avoiding using, definitely get them out now, start having a play with all the tips that I've shown you. Get cutting with them, because it's such a waste for you not to be able to use them. So please, if you do like this video, we'd love it if you could subscribe to our channel, and we think you'd also really like this video from us just here. Take care everybody, and I'll see you again very soon.